Is bench press and gonna do some chest flies as well. Gonna have lots of fun. Just a quick intro. I'm Tim. Welcome to my stream, my channel, and the just can't think. I can never think sometimes. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for me. But basic intro. I'm doing a body transformation this year. The thing that sets my body transformation apart from others is that I'm not using any sort of supplements. So that's no. I'm not taking any creatine, any protein mixes, no protein powders, protein shakes, no pre workouts. Just trying to get all of my nutrients from the food that I eat and see how it goes. So far, it's been interesting. So, going to start out with just warming up with the 10 pounders for bench press. Here we go. Let's have some fun. It's Friday. I'm very excited about Black Ops 6. I'm going to be playing it tonight as soon as my kids go to bed and my wife is in bed and no one will interrupt me. I'm going to be playing some Black Ops 6 tonight. Should be streaming it. It's going to be fun. If you guys like watching video game streams, I'm going to be streaming Black Ops. See how it goes. I haven't played Black Ops in a long time, so I'm really looking forward to having some fun, shooting some people. I might do a little bit of the story mode before I jump right into the multiplayer, but I can't decide because I can do the story mode when my kids are awake, but I can't play, multiplayer while they're awake because they don't understand always the concept of that I can't stop the game. All right, moving to 20 pounds, 9.07 kilograms. All right, time for the big boys. I'm gonna move up to 55 pounds, 24.95 kilograms. I think I'm definitely, I want to chase getting my kill ratio to at least a 2. I'd love at some point to be a 2. And I've had like really good games where I've gone 3, but on average I've been like 1.75 for a long time. I'd like to do better. What's up, White Tighties? How's it going, man? Talking about Black Ops 6. Gonna start playing tonight. As soon as the wife and kids are down, and no one will bother me. If you stream it early-ish, I'll come bother you. Oh man, I'll stream as soon as I get on, but I can tell you I probably won't be able to get on till like 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Unfortunately. But I'm hoping maybe 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, you always see the notifications the morning after. Yeah, it's so hard to play with kids because I don't like getting frustrated with them when they're just being kids. I don't think it's fair, so I have to wait till they're asleep. And then, of course, I have to wait till my wife is asleep too, because, you know, you want to. I like my wife. I like hanging out with her. So then she goes to bed, and then I play. But I think tonight I'll probably be playing for a while. I'm really excited. Tonight's going to be a late night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, my wife and I are watching the show From. That I think you don't like scary stuff, so you probably don't like the show From. But the first season of From, the first episode of From, is really good. You have to get Metro Gold MGM Plus to see it. Right now, you can do a free trial for 7 days, but it's a really well done horror show. White Tie says, I've heard good things. I don't really think it's my speed. Yeah, it's a scary one, man. They definitely a lot of twists. That's one of the like cool things about it is there's a mystery to it all, and they're really good at dragging out the mystery. I just really hope there's a good payoff in the end. Like I worry that it's gonna be be right back. I really should have peed before I joined the stream. Well, you know, probably. You don't want to stain those whitey tighties. When you're wearing white tighties, urine stains really do show up. So definitely want to get that done. Yeah, I'm hoping the show From doesn't end with a stupid ending. They've done a really good job of making it interesting. White Chinese says, trust me, I know. Almost ready. I'm so excited for the end of this year. And not like, oh, this year's horrible. I'm just really excited to see all the results at the end of the year. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. The cutting weight part right now sucks, but I feel really good about it. Really feel really good about the way it's looking. So it's worth it. That was weird. There we go. All right, gonna go down to the 50s. I'll tell you, like, one of the things about using the dumbbells for bench pressing that's like throws me off over using a barbell is you can sometimes like set yourself up wrong when you go back. You have to like adjust each arm as you go. But the thing I like about it is I think it's more practical. You know, in real life,
if you ever were using bench press, you're probably not using it the same way, or those muscles, chest muscles. You're not using it the same way as you do with a bar. It's more practical with the dumbbell, I think. Back and happy to report there are no stains. So the white tights, good man. It's a big reason of skipping out on the whitey tighties. No stains in the hands. Good. Did you see to track this next thought? It's not random. Saying Haynes made me think of Michael Jordan, which made me think of this video I saw of Shaq and Charles Barkley with The Rock and Mark Wahlberg, and they were doing some sort of thing for the movie No Pain, No Gain, or Pain and Gain. But Charles Barkley is out benching Shaq, but he's using fake weights, and they don't let Shaq off the hook for the end. White Tie says definitely in the top 2 reasons to ditch them. But just watching Shaq get all upset that Barkley can outbench him, and then he finds out it's fake weights. But Shaq's a big boy. But it's funny is I thought like Andre the Giant would be ridiculously strong, but Andre the Giant was strong. Like he was super strong, but not as strong as you'd hope because he never actually weight trained. He was just naturally, kind of just relied a lot on his natural ability and never really pushed it. I would have loved to see what a guy like Andre the Giant could put up if he had been a weight trainer and been hitting the weights. I mean, you see how much that guy. I think it's not Charles Bronson. Is it Charles Bronson? That British guy that's super jacked and how much he can lift. I would have liked to see what Andre the Giant could have done. I heard, though, Andre the Giant could put back a lot of alcohol, a lot of beer. That's Ed from Shaq. You're very unfamiliar with these people. Andre the Giant was the giant from Princess Bride. If you ever saw that movie, it's a cult classic. He was a professional wrestler. I forget how big he was, but he was a massive dude. Like, definitely earned the term giant. But then he also, I think he was a physicist. But of course, like the way he talked, his like super deep voice, and in the movies and stuff, he talks slow. So, people pegged him as being dumb. It's funny how people judge people's appearance. Like I've got a buddy who he looks like Channing Tatum, like pretty dead on. If he wanted to do a Channing Tatum look-alike contest, I think he'd win. But he's built like a grizzly, big dude, super strong, tall, and man, people we'd work together, and people would just automatically judge him as being dumb because he was so big and strong. I was like, no, man, he's a really smart guy. You're making a mistake. There's no flaws there. Right. Yeah, but Andre the Giant was when he was wrestling, he didn't, he would throw guys around, but that was about it. Like he didn't actually do weight training, from what I've read. But I did read too that he could really drink. What cracked me up about my buddy that looks like Channing Tatum, but crossed with a grizzly bear, is he actually has a twin sister. And I knew him for years before I ever saw his twin. So for years, I always imagined just almost an exact replica of him as a girl. But and I always felt bad for her. But then, I saw her. I was like, oh, she's like a normal looking person. She doesn't look just like her brother. And I thought it was silly. But that was my notion of how I would look in the first place. So. And it's funny though, and talking about drinking, when I was working at a casino, because you're on the slot floor, they make you get a safe serve certificate, like for serving alcohol. Even though you're not serving alcohol, you have to like learn how to all the same stuff. And there are some things I didn't know. Like I didn't know. You always hear like, oh, big guys can drink forever, and I thought like it was like it had to do with fat, but it actually has to do with muscle. The muscle mass is what affects how your body um, how your body handles alcohol more than just fat. Fat doesn't really help you with drinking. That was a misconception I had, that oh, just because you were fat you could drink more, and it's not. It's your muscle mass that determines whether or not you can drink a lot. Which makes sense because I have a brother-in-law that's considerably taller than me that can't drink or can't keep up with me, and I definitely have more muscle mass than he does, so it makes the difference. I gotta say, 4 p.m. on a Friday is a very unmotivating time to be working from home. I bet. Friday is always an unmotivating time to be working. If you've been hitting it hard all week, some people put off their work till Friday about 4 p.m. If you're a procrastinator, it's probably the time you do the most work. You ever see those statistics on how much people actually work when they were in an office, like the time they spend working versus the time they spend just blowing time by either playing games or staring off into space, the actual amount of time they do their work. And I think it's the thing I think is funny about people and the way people think. So they say, like, okay, so we pay Billy to work 8 hours a day. So, but then we do the research, and it turns out that for every 8 hours that we work Billy actually only works for 4 hours because of all these incidentals that he does. So, what we should do, the answer is, don't fire Billy because he's not doing the job. We just change everyone's week to a 4-hour workday, and that's the answer. The answer isn't hold people accountable to the work they've committed to do for the paycheck they've committed to taking, but rather let's shorten the days to meet how well they actually do. And the only problem with that is a lot of people are like, oh, like, yeah, that'll work. The only problem is Billy is only going to deliver you in 4 hours 2 hours of work. If he's only delivering 4 hours of actual work in an 8-hour period, he's not going to suddenly give you 4 hours for 4 hours. His integrity and drive will only deliver you 2 hours for the 4 hours. You know, that's the problem with that equation. In my mind, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, but that's how the math works in my head. What do you think, White Tidies? Well, what would you say? What would you say if they took AI software, right? Because supposedly they're getting to this point where they can track your eye movements to see if you're thinking, and some uh, things where they can kind of check brain function to see what if you're focusing. What if instead of paying you by the hour, they gave you a metered rate based of when you were actually focusing on the work and thinking about the work? Like if you sat in front of your computer and you're off, like thinking about something else and not actually engaging in the work, the meter stops. But every time you're thinking about work, the meter goes. And we put the meter at a higher rate than just an hourly wage, but it will only run when you're actually doing the work. Would you take that? Would you take that deal? Would anybody take that deal? Well, lucky for me, I overthink work, and I'm always thinking about stuff beyond work hours. See, so that shouldn't. I mean, it would be great if you could get paid for that. Yeah, I hate working for an hourly wage alone. If I can work um, for some sort of bonus structure based on work delivered, I'd rather do that. Hourly wage to me sucks. When you tell me, hey, we're going to pay you this salary, and if you deliver X, Y, and Z, we give you a bigger cut of the pie. And I'm like, awesome, dude. I will break my back chasing that bonus. I love bonuses. When I'm going to bed, I always have to tell myself to stop thinking about work while I'm not getting paid. Yeah. When you're thinking about work, when you're going to bed, is it problem solving? Like you're figuring out better solutions? Or is it things where you're like, I should have told my boss X, Y, and Z, or I should have told that person on the phone to go stuff it? Like, or is it, a mix and match of solving problems and thinking about how much you hate people? Not that you hate people, but I find that anything having to do with customer service can start to make you loathe people to a certain, or at least a certain type of person. More like problem solving. Yeah, see, should be a way to pay you for that. I worked for a company where I was district manager, so I got a bonus. But only the top three people, or the top three districts, got giant bonuses compared to everyone else. It was a lot bigger, and I had the smallest district in the company. So, in order to make the top three, I was never going to do it by quantity of products bought. We bought gold and silver and platinum, so I could never compete with that because I had 3 stores and a couple of districts had like 10 stores. So competing against that was, never going to happen. I was never going to buy as much as them. But another portion was your P&Ls, controlling profits and loss and all these other areas and customer surveys. And I was the first district to regularly score like around 100% on all my customer surveys. My profit loss was impeccable. Like we didn't use any supply, like we barely used supplies. Taught my team how to really be good at buying, so we weren't buying a bunch of fake stuff. So because of that, I was always in the top 3. And that was a big motivator. Without that bonus structure, it would have been a lot more discouraging. More like, and I also did well because I got smart about the surveys, because the surveys were like secret shopper surveys, and you could get a bad like secret shopper, and you're like, could really tank you. And I needed everything to be perfect to get the bonus. So I was the first like district manager that started calling the survey company, and I built up rapport with the lady that was in charge of our surveys, and I got her to get rid of a lot of the bad ones before it ever made it to our company. Like I would get like the report, and then I would call her up and like talk to her about it. And then a lot of times she'd change the score or just get rid of it for me. And it wasn't, I never asked her, like, hey, delete that score. Like, I would just, she liked me because I'd also call her when things were good. So I didn't just call her all the time for bad stuff. Like, I would call her and talk to her about like the good ones too. And, um, you know, took an appreciation for the work that they did that none of the other district managers did. Because some of them would start to call her, but they only ever called her when things were bad. So she wasn't really inclined to help them. But my scores, they would fix, which was really nice. And I learned, like, with people, don't ever wait till there's a problem to go meet the person whose fate or that controls your fate. If someone has power over you or can help you or hurt you in a situation, you should go talk to them before you need something and see if there's any ways that you can help them before you ever have a problem. You know, you shouldn't just wait. Like, with like my kids' schools, like I talk to their teachers, I talk to the principal, I talk to the office staff, and because I really, if there's ever a problem with my kids, I want them to tell me before it's like a big problem. And having that constant communication is great. But then if there's ever a big problem too, it will help because they know who I am. They know that I'm an attentive father. They know that the first time they hear my kid's name, it won't be associated with something bad. So it helps. Creates a better environment for me and my kids. All right, I'm gonna go down to 40 pounds. When I was working for the company where we had the surveys, like there would be other district managers that would tell me like, oh, they screwed up this survey, and I called them. And I was so upset, and I like argued back and forth with them. And I was like, that's such a bad move. You shouldn't do that. But at the same time, I'd be smiling to myself because it's like, you are only helping me, you know. Because I would be honest with like the survey company. I was like, look, like they made your surveys part of our like business, our bonus structure. So I really need these surveys to go well. This is how we get paid. And I told them flat out, like, especially for me, because I have the smallest district. So I really need these surveys to go well for me. So when they have me on one end that's calling them and talking about like when they do a good job and calling them more for positive things versus negative things. And then they have this other district that's calling them and going off on them. And they know that it's a competition. Definitely help things go my way. I'd say a big one too is get to know the law enforcement around you. If you live in a bad area and you have like regular police officers in your area, like get to know them. Because if anything ever happens, you want them to, feel inclined to believe your side of a story or help you solve your problem. Like let's say, God forbid, but one of my kids goes missing and I call a police officer that knows us and has seen my kids and tells them like, hey, my kid wandered off, then they're better suited because they already know what my kid looks like. They've seen me around with my kid. They're more invested in helping me find my kid. Hopefully that never happens. But if it ever does happen, I'm in a much better place for them to help me and take my concerns more serious. That was bad. I caught the dumbbell caught my pocket for a second there. I wasn't able to put it down right. Let's go, says Whitey Tidy. White Ties, what would you rather see? A fourth Deadpool or Robert Downey Jr. make an Iron Man comeback? Don't rip the shorts. I'm trying not to with the shorts. I'm gonna do a set, and then I'm gonna tell you a really embarrassing story. One of my more embarrassing days in school, in middle school. This is a fun story from 7th grade. All right, so the year was 1997, and if you watched the X-Men 97, you know that like very colorful, flashy clothes were in style, but they were also like on the way out of style. Like plain jeans was becoming more the like in style again. The hammer style pants and the funky designs were on the way out, but they were still around. But my mom was going in for surgery one day, and so she hadn't done like laundry. I'm sure she was preoccupied with the fact that she was going in for surgery. So all I had was these shorts my mom had bought, but I never like tried them on. So I put them on, and they were very like colorful, loud print on them, and they were about an inch and a half above my knee. And I hate wearing shorts that are above my knee. So these were an inch and a half above my knee, and they looked really silly. But it was either wear that or wear something that smelled gross. So I was stuck with wearing those. And like right when I get to school, people started saying that I was wearing boxers, and I was like, no, they're not boxers. They're shorts. They're shorts. So all day long, like everyone keeps saying, why are you wearing boxers? Why are you wearing just boxers? It's a very long day. And like at the end of the school day, I was talking to my girlfriend, and she was like, I don't think there's boxers because there's not a pee hole. And I was like, oh, yeah, boxers have pee holes. This doesn't have a pee hole. Therefore, they're not boxers. And I was like, I wish I had thought of that earlier. So we go to the hospital to see my mom, and told my dad the story. And my dad says, okay. So I'm getting out of the car, and my dad like stops me. He's like, wait, hey, show me the back of your shorts. And I show him, and and he goes, oh, you got them on backwards, man. The pee hole is on the back. You've been wearing them backwards all day. So now, remember I'm like 12. So, and this is also when like the long basketball jersey was a big popular thing. So I spent the whole time walking around with this jersey pulled down as far as I could get it, so that like a penguin style. I'll demonstrate. Walking around like the hospital like this, so that nobody would see the pee hole and know I was wearing boxers backwards. Not just wearing boxers, but wearing them backwards. Until I finally got to the bathroom, and I went to turn them around and found out that they were not boxers. My dad just loves messing with me. But that was a very long, very embarrassing, annoying day. I love middle school. And actually, believe it or not, that is not the most embarrassing wardrobe story I ever had growing up. The most embarrassing was, I don't know if you ever had like sports days when you were a kid in school where kids would wear their like sports uniforms. So we had this every year, like in elementary school, like starting then, people would wear their sports gear. But my dad hated little league parents, so we never did little league. We never did any sports. So I was always left out. I never had like a baseball uniform to wear. And then when I finally did, like I finally did a sport where I got a uniform. I was so excited for the sports day. I put my uniform on and I was like, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna fit in for once. I'm not gonna be the lame kid with no sports. And when I got to school, I got out of the car, and the second I got out of the car and watched my dad drove away, I realized I had screwed up because the sport that I did was wrestling, and I wore my wrestling singlet to school. And the second my dad drove away and the cold air hit me, I realized that this was a bad choice. I was, I think, 9 at the time. So being a 9-year-old walking around all day explaining that it's not a swimsuit, it's a wrestling singlet, and I'm a wrestler, like was pretty rough. So if your kid ever wrestles, don't suggest they wear the wrestling singlet to school. It's a bad day, and not a lot of fun. That was the worst wardrobe malfunction I ever had. White Tie says LMAO. Well, at least you were young for both those. White Tie's asked, wait, so they weren't really boxers? He was just messing with you? Yeah, they were not really boxers. My dad was messing with me. My dad is someone who likes to mess with their kids, not in the bad way, in the more traditional 1980s make fun of your kids kind of parent. It's good. And my dad dropped me off for school that day in my wrestling singlet. He could have really have done me a solid and been like, no, no, you can't wear your wrestling singlet to school. That is not gonna be cool. But he didn't. He probably cracked up. He knew it was gonna be bad. Guess that's better than the actually being boxers you wore all day long. Yeah, that's what I tell myself. So I take my kids' laundry very serious. I never want my kids to have to go to like school with clothes sprayed with cologne so nobody can tell that they're dirty. I never want to make the bleach stain mistake. That was a classic in my childhood. All right, well, I got a jet. I hope your rest of your Friday goes well. Come back again for some more embarrassing tales of my childhood. I found countless ways to embarrass myself as a child. There are many more. Closest laundry mishap I had like that as a kid was when the laundry wasn't done and I had to clean boxers. So I go back to the whitey tighties. So it's still whitey tighties. Well, you know, I had for the longest time I had like one pair of whitey tighties. I randomly had that lasted forever, and I knew like when my laundry day, like it was my last like warning that hey, like you gotta do laundry like as soon as you get home because this is it. This is the bottom of the barrel. All right, take care, guys. God bless you.